Those were bad laws that God gave. You condemned those laws.
If you were talking about a modern conception of slavery,
no, I'm talking about what I just described, which is in the Bible. Welcome to Bad Bible Debates. I'm Joel, and Mezzo isn't here yet, and don't be mad at him. I'm not mad at him. I know but I'm not mad at him. He is a busy guy, so he just said he had to finish a little bit of... He's making content for his OnlyFans. He's got to finish that, and as soon as he's done making that content, he will be here. Don't worry, I'm not flying solo on this episode. But for those of you who don't know, Bad Bible Debates is a collaborative podcast with me and my best friend Mezzo, where we share debates that we've had with people all over the internet. We are debating Christians constantly about their bad Bible. Ooh, it's a bad Bible. Ooh, you're such a bad little Bible. Ooh, you bad little Bible. The Bible likes it, don't worry. I got the Bible's consent. It likes being spanked a little bit in a fun, sexy way. But let's get right into our first debate. Now, on this debate, I was fortunate to be joined by That Rebel Rabbi, Rabbi Hannah, and you can find her on TikTok at That Rebel Rabbi. And in this debate, we're discussing slavery with a young man named Sam. And it was really helpful to have the perspective of someone who's Jewish when speaking to someone who's Christian and how they approach the text so very differently. So let's have a listen. Sam, can I help you dump the Bible today?
So actually, I had a question for you.
Whoa.
So it seems like most of the things that anti-theists bring up in relation to the Bible are from the Old Testament, the Torah, the Psalms. Those texts are substantially more theologically influential and theologically significant in terms of rabbinic Judaism. So why do you address Christianity with these and not rabbinic Judaism when these texts are at the core of that religion and are not as significant to Christianity?
So there's a different understanding. Now, of course, I do have to preface, because Jewish people keep telling me that Judaism or Jewish people are not a monolith, so there's many different views within Judaism. But there's, I think, by and large, a different understanding of the God through Judaism. For instance, he's not all-knowing or he's not perfect in a lot of Jewish people's theology. So it kind of, the things that I would say to a Christian are not going to apply to their understanding of Yahweh, right? And
right.
Then they also don't have some of the other things that Christianity would have, like hell, and that's the only one I can think of right now. So Christianity is a different religion. It just kind of appropriated Judaism and then changed it and looks at it completely different.
How is that appropriation when the entirety of the first generation of the early church was Jewish?
Well, is Christianity Judaism?
It's not rabbinic Judaism, if that's what you're asking.
Is Christianity Judaism?
Is it historic Judaism or is it rabbinic Judaism?
Sam, did you know that, and I bet you if I ask every single Jewish person if Christians are Jews, they would say no. And so even early Christians were probably not religiously Jews, right?
Right, but that distinction exists within Christianity itself between Jewish people and Gentiles. You know,
but we're just talking about two different religions, right? So we have Judaism, and then we have Christianity, and Christianity has taken Judaism and changed it into their own religion.
Yes, I mean, the very earliest Hebrew Christians were born Jewish, and then they were offshoot of like an early Jewish cult that then transforms into the early Hellenistic Christianity that becomes the later on in around the 2nd to 3rd century. The
like rabbinic Judaism was also an offshoot of an early Jewish cult. If you want to use cult, we can use cult. Like
that is what it is called academically, Sam.
So you would agree that rabbinic Judaism also emerged out of the cult?
Yes. It was not. It was a different branch of Judaism, the same as the Sadducees was, the same as the Pharisees. The same as Christians were. But what is your issue?
My
Like,
my
what's your
thing is
damage, kid?
my thing is that when atheists address the Old Testament, they mostly the texts of the Torah. I'm sorry,
The Torah or the Tanakh?
Okay. I'm sorry, I pronounced it incorrectly. The Torah or the Tanakh. I tripped over my words. The texts of the Old Testament are much more central to rabbinic Judaism as a faith and much more foundational. So I don't see why atheists address these questions to Christians when the vast majority of what they focus on are these central texts of rabbinic Judaism, as opposed to them being only.
You keep saying rabbinic Judaism, and I don't think you know what that means.
What's your perspective on that?
So yes, I will agree that a lot of discussions around the Hebrew text. The difference is that Jews accept and acknowledge that God is a dick. Like we don't have a whole lot of problem with saying we're going to make excuses for the Bible. We don't make excuses for the idea that we have a deity that makes mistakes that
Actually,
astoundedly.
You're saying we
let
here?
me try something. Sam, let me try something real
Yeah,
quick here.
yeah.
So I have Rabbi Hannah. She's a Jewish rabbi, right? And then
Yeah,
I have
absolutely.
you, who is a Christian, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So I'm going to ask you both the same question, and you guys can both answer. And
Yeah.
I will start with Rabbi Hannah. So Rabbi Hannah, the slavery laws in Exodus 21, would you condemn those as bad laws?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
They were bad laws then, they're bad laws now. I mean,
Right, all right.
slavery is abhorrent no matter what time it happens in.
Mm-hmm. So they were handed down by Yahweh from Mount Sinai. They're
Right,
bad
but you
laws.
have no
So
theological basis
Sam,
for that.
do you say that the slavery laws in Exodus 21 are bad laws? The ones
Yes,
that
and
were
I have a
handed down?
theological basis for it.
So you think that Yahweh gave bad laws to Moses on Mount Sinai?
I think that when we're talking about,
You just have to say, I condemn Yahweh's laws handed down from Mount Sinai to Moses.
if we're talking about
Just
slavery
say,
in a modern
I
conception,
condemn the laws handed down by God to Moses on Mount Sinai.
that is so arbitrary, and
See,
if you're
this is interesting.
okay,
So I don't know if
In the
Rabbi Hannah will
context
do
of
this. Rabbi
a
Hannah,
modern definition
I've
of
made it a
slavery,
little bit more
yes.
spicy. 1 second, Sam.
Yes.
I've made it a little bit more spicy. Rabbi Hannah, would you say I condemn the laws that God handed down to Moses, allegedly, on Mount Sinai?
Can I ask the rabbi for a question?
No.
Let me answer. Let me
I'd
ask
love
Joel.
to ask the rabbi a
Yeah,
question.
I'm interested
Let
in
me
this.
answer
I'm
Joel
interested,
very
but I don't know what
quickly.
the answer is gonna be.
Absolutely, but again,
absolutely.
as a member of the Jewish faith, and like for almost half a century now, again, Jewish tradition does not. We are called Israel for a reason. We are God wrestlers, so we
give me a
don't
second.
have a necessarily. We don't have a issue traditionally with saying that God has made mistakes, up into including laws that were completely abhorrent.
So, Rabbi, what you're saying is that even for the time, though, those were bad laws. Like it was always wrong, and God would have handed down, if the story is true, a bad law to Moses.
Absolutely. And here is my reasoning for that. We have a deity that is presented in the text as being someone who can say to the Israelite people, these are dietary laws. You may not eat pork. You may not eat shrimp. You may not eat bottom feeders. And yes, I agree with that. I'm a kosher person, but cannot seem to make the law that you may not own your fellow man, even in stating, I took you out of Israel, so you can't make slaves of your fellow Israelites, but
Yeah,
you can
sounds
make slaves of people in other lands. That is not a just law. If we have a deity that deals in justice, shall not the God of the earth do right? We have a God that is supposedly is given this idea, or we believe that is a just God, but the text does not necessarily support this idea that God is always just. Now, we can use this ideology that, well, we don't understand God, we don't understand God's ways, but all we have to go on is the text that is presented to us for the last 200 or 2,000 years. We have text. So we can argue all day on whether or not that law is just. But if we have a God who says you cannot make slaves of your fellow Hebrews, but go ahead and make slaves of everyone else, while simultaneously saying don't eat a pig, those are not just laws.
I agree with that. So now listen, Sam, I'm going to turn it over to you, but I want you to reflect what Rabbi Hannah did, right? So she said, like, absolutely, those are bad anytime. They're always bad. I condemn those laws. And this is why. Now, you want to give me the this is why. I know you're just chomping at the bit to do that. But you have to start with either you condemn those laws and you believe they were always bad and Yahweh shouldn't have given those laws because it's always wrong to own people as slaves, or whatever it is you believe, and we'll see if your religion is a problem. Go ahead.
Is it okay if I ask the rabbi a question?
No, I already told you. I gave you clear instructions of what I wanted.
That's completely arbitrary, but those are arbitrary instructions.
Okay, so you can't answer. You can't answer, as Rabbi Hannah did, that slavery is always wrong. Full stop.
You're saying
and
that
what
I
Yahweh
can't ask
handed
the rabbi
down was
about
wrong.
rabbinical Judaism?
This is the problem with your
Okay,
religion and
your
why
question.
I don't
I'll
attack.
answer your question. Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
I find it a little bit
You won't
obtuse that I
answer it.
can't ask a rabbi about rabbinical Judaism.
Eventually
I'll
you
go
can.
ahead and answer.
Eventually you can.
Okay. After I answer this. So I would say that unlike the rabbi, I have a theological basis for rejecting these laws. Right?
So were they wrong at the time when God handed them down to Moses? Was he wrong to hand down those laws? Rabbi Hannah said absolutely. So are you going to say yes or no to that? Remember I asked for that answer first?
So I would ask, are we asking...
You can't answer that. So this is the reason
I'm
why I come
answering
at
the
Christians.
question. I'm
it's
asking
a yes
your
or no.
boundaries.
Remember Rabbi Hannah said absolutely. That was the opening word. Absolutely. And then what you're saying is now, that's not what I want.
I'm not allowed to understand the question? How am I supposed to answer it
if
I
you
don't
can't understand the word, then you might not be up to this kind of conversation.
Dude, I want
because
to have
I'm
an
saying,
academic
like, is
discussion
it
about
always
this.
wrong? Yeah, I know it's hard to answer this. Is it always wrong to own people as slaves? So, by definition, was God wrong to tell his people they could own slaves?
I
The
will
answer to
say,
that is that's hard. What could that mean?
If you're talking about, the thing is, I don't know what you mean because slavery has meant so many things throughout history. But if you're talking about in the
owning
context,
people as slaves.
if you're, you're not.
This is so funny, man. This is so funny.
If you're talking about in the context,
your religion sucks so bad you can't even say that slavery is always wrong.
Okay,
because you're not saying it.
If you're talking about the modern conception.
I'm talking about the biblical conception of owning people, like women in that particular case, for life, and owning men for 6 years, and giving women to men so that they can fuck them and make other babies, and that the owner will own the woman and the babies, and yeah, all of that's bad. I would say all of that given to Moses on Mount Sinai right after the Ten Commandments is bad. Do you agree with that, or do you like that? Those were bad laws that God gave. You condemned those laws.
If you were talking about a modern conception of slavery,
no, I'm talking about what I just described, which is in the Bible.
I literally said yes. I responded to your question. I said yes. You're refusing to accept it.
No, so you're saying yes, it's bad.
In a modern context, yes. Yes.
We don't need to bring it.
Distinct. The only critique I have here, Joel, is there is two different types of that slavery. Chattel slavery absolutely happened, but the 6 years, chattel slavery happens in the Bible, but the 6 years was reserved for fellow Hebrews.
Yeah, I'm still saying anyone of
another nation you would own forever, and their children, your children would own forever and infinitum.
This is what
you're trying to talk over a rabbi about rabbinical Judaism?
No, this is what I'm saying.
And Joel has the familiarity with me where I don't mind if he talks.
I don't have a.
And what Rabbi Hannah? Shut up, Sam. What Rabbi Hannah is saying obviously is true. She would know better than I would know. But do you think, Rabbi Hannah, that system described in Exodus 21 that is not chattel slavery is still fucked up?
Absolutely, and I would say here's why. Because there is a loophole to get around this idea of chattel slavery for Hebrews, and that is if you sold yourself into indentured servitude and the master gives you a wife and that wife produces children, at the end of the 6 years, your choice is only to leave on your own without your wife and children because the master still owns them, or you get an owl driven through your ear to indicate that now you are no longer an indentured servant, you are a lifetime slave. So how many masters do you think would try to do this in order to convert an indentured servant into a free slave?
Also, just to add, by the way, and I described that in my diatribe, but also just to add this, is that women never go free. Is this true?
No, they do not. Women never go free. If you sell your daughter into slavery, they are never. The Jubilee does not is not applied to them.
So, Sam, before you talk, I'm just going to play this real quick, and I want you to listen to it and see if this is what you're saying, because I think this is what you're saying.
You talk about the good kind of slavery. They got the good kind of slavery.
Is this what you're
no
saying?
No one wouldn't like it if it were me, but it's a good kind of slavery.
You think it's good?
Sure, you can beat them within an inch of their life.
That's one of the good things?
And you can keep them if they fall in love with their wife.
That's what Rabbi was describing?
Nah, there ain't nothing wrong with another human being on.
Sometimes you can own humans.
God says it.
Yeah.
It's a good kind of slavery.
This text is more central to the rabbi than
Sam, no one can hear you when you're talking over the songs. They're way louder than you. This is the thing. So do you think that this was a good kind of slavery? And if, as long as we can prove that it's not exactly like the modern conception, that it was good all of a sudden? Because I'm not worried about the modern conception. I'm just reading what's in the book.
I still think that form of slavery is bad. I was just saying that
all you need to say is the law that God gave to Moses was a bad law, and you condemn that law. That's all.
The one that's central to rabbinic Judaism.
The one that Rabbi Hannah just condemned as a rabbi.
Yeah.
That this is her book, probably exclusively, that you have appropriated.
So what book specifically is this?
This is Exodus.
Exodus. So she keeps the laws of Exodus closer than I do.
So you will not say that. Like, you will not say that. This is the problem with Christianity.
I will not say what. I will not say what.
You have yet to say that you condemn the law that God gave to Moses. I condemn God's law. I just said it was
bad, dude. I just said it was bad.
Just say I condemn God's law that he handed down to Moses. Say those words.
I think this specific law, from my personal perspective, was bad.
That's a true. Okay, all right. So God gave a bad law. Why would God give a bad law?
That's an unnecessary. I think slavery is abhorrent. I think it should be opposed in any situation. But I will say, I personally cannot understand what is all good and all just. That's
a problem.
Well, that's your personal interpretation.
Yeah.
That's
not
what we
have. That's
not
news.
Concrete knowledge of what is all good and all just. You can't possibly know that.
We can do little experiments to see if anybody, if even you, I mean, you yourself don't think that slavery is good, so we can say that that's not good.
That's my perspective.
But this is the thing. I am looking at this from an ideology point of view, and that's why I'm having a conversation with Christians and not Jewish people, because I don't really know the ideology of even probably the average Jewish person, generally speaking. Again, I wasn't raised in that. But I have a general idea of what mainstream Christians' ideology would be, and it's harmful.
Who are mainstream Christians?
Just your kind of average Christian. Sam,
really? Like what churches?
There's so many different. There's 45,000 denominations.
Really?
You know, actually, it's the Jesus thing. Anyway, the point is this.
So the 44,000 number.
Sam, shut up. So this is the point. When you come up here, and your initial talking point is that, you know, Jewish people hold to or follow the Old Testament or Torah more than Christians do, or generally. It means more to them than it means to Christians. These are like non-statements. What do you mean by more? What percentage do Jewish people...
What do you mean by mainstream Christians?
Yeah, exactly. See, so it's a difficult thing to answer, but
you don't know how to keep up, do you, Sam?
Hey everyone, I'm back. Sorry about that. I had to make some other clips for this show, for debate stuff, not for anything. That's all it was for, just for this stuff. Joel had to step out too. He's having a little spank sesh with his Bible, and so that usually takes a few minutes. This next topic started off as objective morality and where we get our standards from, that old shtick. but quickly turned into a slavery conversation. It often does. This guest just couldn't figure out if they liked slavery or not. They were going back and forth on it so much. And you'll hear a fun little thing I like to do. Sometimes people don't even notice I'm doing this, but when they say to go read a verse, I'll just go read a different verse that further proves my point first, and they go, oh, that's the wrong one, I'm so sorry. So you'll hear a little bit of that in here. All in all, this turned out to be a nice debate about slavery and why we probably shouldn't do it, even though the Bible says to.
BPDs. Welcome in, Anthony. Why do you think that I should believe in the Christian God?
I definitely, one, I feel like the Christian God actually has good morals to it. I mean,
Christian morals, and does that include like the stuff from the Bible or just the Christian morals that we make up?
I'm going to say the Christian morals that even if we don't include the word Christian in there, they're morals that both the Christian belief and the non-Christian believers believe in, that they both believe in.
Wait, so you mean the morals that even without Christianity that we believe in? Yeah, I think we should believe in those ones.
We believe in the idea of, being a good person.
Yeah,
I
do too.
If you took out the idea of Christianity, what example do we have in history that of a good, honest person? And I'm talking never messed up, never lied, never cheated. We want to have an ultimate good and we want to have an ultimate bad. And we, as Christians, give that to Jesus and give that to the devil. Devil's ultimate bad, Jesus' ultimate good. So with that in mind.
But Jesus does bad stuff too that you would disagree with. And so it doesn't really feel that ultimate, right? Because like when you look at Jesus and what he said, he was like, hey, it's me. I'm God. I'm the God from the Old Testament. I'm the one who said to slaughter the children of the Amalekites. I'm the one who said that it's okay to have slaves. It's things that are terrible that Jesus claimed to be the God of,
Don't forget, too, though, that slavery, even today, still exists, too.
Yeah, so, and it's still bad. It was always bad, and it was still bad. But for a while, God said it was okay.
I don't believe that he says that it's okay, but he does understand the idea that humans have the issue of, hey, you owe me, let's say $100. Well, I need to get that $100 back. And if you're not going to do it for me, then I need you to be willing to at least work for me or work with me to be able to pay back this $100. And I may try to, as the, let's say the owner or the white man, I may try to, charge you more money because you're staying on my land, you're feeding my food. And then that would eventually propel you into essentially slavery. And because of this, what would have been a 5-month job just became a 50-year job because I keep charging you and charging you and charging you.
Slavery is when you force someone to work. It's not when someone just comes up to you and says, hey, I owe you money. Can I work for you instead? That's not slavery. Maybe that's like indentured servitude. But even that is also, by the way, fucked up. That's also terrible. It's not a good system. It's illegal globally, right? Like we can't do that anymore because we realize this is bad. But that's not slavery. Slavery is when you go and you get someone and you say, hey, you're going to do this work for me. And they go, but I don't want to. And you go, too bad, you're doing it anyways. And then you hurt them and force them to do it. That's what slavery is. In the Old Testament, remember, Jesus is the God of the Old Testament, right?
And the New Testament, yes.
Yeah, so he says, you can have slaves. And maybe he doesn't say, I love that you have slaves, but he condones it. He says, hey, if you're going to get slaves, here's where to get them from. Here's how to treat them. And you can treat those people, those human beings, as property. Do you think that's okay?
I don't believe that. I don't believe that Jesus would condone the idea of slavery, but I definitely.
Do you want to go to the Bible and read it? I can read it to you. Okay, I'm going to read, and then and then I'm going to ask you if this seems okay. All right. If any who are dependent on you become so impoverished that they sell themselves to you, you shall not make them serve as slaves. That's what you're saying, right?
That's part of it.
Yeah, so he's saying don't make those people slaves. but that's just for the Israelites. Because then when you go down to 44, it says, as for the male and female slaves whom you may have, it is from the nations around you that you may acquire them. You may also acquire them from among the aliens residing with you and from their families who have been born into your land. They may be your property. Jesus is saying the actual fellow Israelites, not cool. Like they can work for you, but like make a contract, and there's some certain stuff to do with it. But if you do want slaves, it's the countries around you, or like immigrants that have immigrated in, and their children and stuff who are born here. They're okay to make slaves and have as property. Oh, it also mentions that you may keep them as a possession for your children after you, for them to inherit as property, which means like if I like went, so like I live in California. So basically if I went to Mexico, according to this, I could just grab a family. I could just like grab their kids and have them work for me. And then they're young, right? They're kids. There's my new like slave kids that I have. And so I'm gonna probably die while they're still alive, but I can put them in my will, and my children get to keep them as the slaves too. And that's what Jesus is saying is what we may do. We know it's bad, but he's saying here's something you can do.
No. So I was just looking at the was it Exodus 21:16.
Sure.
Can you read that one to me?
Yeah, absolutely. Before I read that, can you tell me what you think of the verses that we did already read?
Can you remind me what those are again?
They said that you can have slaves.
So that is actually in reference to that next verse that I'm giving you there, where it talks about the idea that, there were the idea of owning slaves as a thing back then, especially in the Old Testament. But that's also where the New Testament comes in too, and it actually talks about the idea of, you shouldn't own people. Obviously,
can we go to that verse? Let's just, instead of this one about kidnapping that's unrelated, let's go to the verse that says you shouldn't own people.
Exodus.
Yeah, I know this one, but you said there's that in the New Testament it says you shouldn't own people.
Deuteronomy 24:7.
And it's going to say, do not own people. Okay, let's go to that. When you draw near a town to fight against it, if it offers peace, accept your terms, peace and surrender to you, the people shall, then it and its people shall serve you at forced labor. That's slavery. Oh, that's 20. Sorry, let me go 24. Sorry, that's another one to say to do slavery. 24:16. If someone is caught kidnapping another Israelite, so this is about Israelites, then enslaving or selling the Israelite, then that kidnapper shall die. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It said it earlier, this is the same thing. Not the Israelites, but the nations around you, it's fine. Then you can have slaves. So do you agree that it's bad to enslave Israelites? I do.
I believe that it's bad to enslave humans in general.
Okay, but let's start with Israelites, because the Bible says Israelites. I agree with the Bible that we should not enslave Israelites. Do you agree?
Yes.
Now, I disagree with the Bible that you can enslave other people. Do you disagree with the Bible as well?
I disagree with the idea of owning somebody.
Okay, so yeah, with the Bible, then it says you can have them as property.
I do not believe that owning somebody is a good thing, but I do believe in the idea of, of owning anybody in general, human being wise, as long as they are humans. I don't think that it's a good thing.
And so here's the big dilemma is like your major point when you came up here is that we can use this as a source of like morality and knowing what's good and wrong. And even if we're interpreting this wrong, we're not. Like it's true that it says you can own people, but even if we're not, and there is some weird like explanation, and you can jump around to the right verses that make it make sense, this is not a good source for morality, because not all humans can do that, right? Can jump through the Bible and understand its historical context. Not all humans can read, right? So it's not a good place to like generate morality from, because there's a bunch of shit in here that's super questionable. There's a bunch of shit that's just flat out fucking awful. And there's a bunch of stuff that's like just confusing.
Oh man, I was just sitting here with Mezzo, and we were going to record this part together, but his nose was like moving. He was moving his nose, like twitching, and he's like, "I gotta go pick my nose. I got. There's something in there, and I don't want to do that in front of you." And he was walking away to go do that. That's where he is now, and he yelled back. He goes, "I'm not going to eat it." I was like, "What?" He's like, "I'm not going to eat it. I'm not going to pick my nose and eat it." And I was like, why? I didn't think you... Now I think you might... Like, I don't know why you would mention that. Anyway, let's take a break from Christians defending slavery and not being able to say that slavery is completely wrong and that the biblical slavery was monstrous. Let's just take a break from that and listen to something a little bit more uplifting. As I've been deconstructing, I thought it would be fun to write a non-sinner's prayer. You know, the way you become saved is you pray the sinner's prayer. Well, to become unsaved, you need to pray the non-sinner's prayer. So we're going to share that with you now. And then one of our dear friends, someone in our deconstruction community, Bethany, she came up on my live, and she also, inspired by the non-sinner's prayer, had written an anti-sinner's prayer, which was her own version of the non-sinner's prayer, which is actually absolutely beautiful and kind of put my prayer to shame. There's a lot of beautiful things in there. So we're going to share both of them with you now, the non-sinners and anti-sinners prayers. Alien, we talked last time, and are you not a Christian? What happened? I feel like you're not a Christian.
Well, I will say one thing. After our previous conversation, I was like, damn, I got nothing. I got nothing to defend the Bible. Like, I will admit that.
So are we ready to dump it tonight? Do you want to do you want to try the non-sinner's prayer, Alien? Like, that would be nice, because then I can get a notch on the board. Mezzo and I are keeping score of the people we deconstruct, so I would really love to deconstruct you right now.
Sure. I don't know what that is. I'm new here, but go ahead.
All right, let's try the non-sinner's prayer. So it's basically like the sinner's prayer, but you just have to repeat after me and say the non-sinner's prayer. Are you ready to do that with me tonight, Alien?
Oh, that's gonna bring up a lot of memories.
Okay.
Repeat this prayer after me. Oh,
exactly.
Boy.
Are you ready?
Sure.
Okay. Dear, oh dear.
Dear, oh dear.
I used to think I was a sinner, but now I realize I never was.
I used to think I was a sinner, but now I realize I never was.
Sin doesn't exist, so I don't need to be forgiven for it.
Sin does not exist, so I do not need to be forgiven for it.
No one died for my sins or rose from the dead.
No one died for my sins or rose from the dead.
That's unbelievable.
That is unbelievable.
I'm going to live my life to the fullest, trying my best to be kind.
I will live my life to the fullest and try to be kind.
I don't need anyone else to live inside my heart, whatever that means.
I do not need anyone to live inside my heart, whatever that means.
I reject the need to follow a Lord and Savior.
I reject the need to follow a Lord and Savior.
I will no longer believe in ancient superstitions out of fear.
I will no longer believe in ancient superstitions out of fear.
Much love to all.
Much love to all.
A women.
Oh, that was a good one.
Alien, you did it. You are now an unbeliever. This is a beautiful moment. Should we dry off your head with a towel, the opposite of a baptism?
Yes, please. It's very cold in here.
Yeah, just wrap your head in a towel or something. I don't know. I'm so happy for you. I'm happy that you're part of the fold of people that don't believe any stupid superstitions. Bethany, how are you today?
Hi, I'm doing all right.
Are you still sticking on the dumps?
I'm a deconstructing Christian leaning towards agnosticism.
Nice.
I wanted to tell you that I was inspired to write my own anti-sinner's prayer. It's only 4 sentences long.
Okay.
If
How
you would
long
like to
is
hear
mine?
it.
See if mine is winning. Should I do it with you? Do you want me to repeat after you?
Sure, you can repeat after me if you want.
Okay. Let me see where mine is.
I don't know if you'll want to.
All right. Well, if I don't like part of it, then I'll be like, ugh. But all right, let's try it.
I chose to write my own because just like as a faithful Christian, I would pick and choose what I would focus on in the Bible. I want to pick and choose what I'm going to say as a walking away.
Amen. All right, let's do the Bethany's version of the non-sinner's prayer.
I call it the anti-sinner's prayer because I have to make my own denomination.
Fair. So subtly different.
Dear, oh dearie me.
So similar. It starts very similar. Dear, oh dearie me.
I confess that I am someone who has been duped.
That I am someone who has been duped.
With compassion and understanding.
With compassion and understanding.
I ask myself. For forgiveness.
I repent.
From my magical thinking. And I commit. To living in reality. While maintaining. This is the part I don't know if you'll like. A love of wonder, mystery, and awe.
No, I like it.
Ah, femme.
No, you know what? I like that. Look, if you lose a sense of awe in this wacky world, then you've lost. Then I don't know what. What are you, just like sitting at home staring at a wall? But that's beautiful, Bethany. I actually kind of want to steal some of that for mine. Like, I like that forgiving yourself part.
Yeah.
Will I steal some of that for mine? I feel like because you stole some of it for yours, I think it's fair.
Christian denominations do that all the time.
Yeah,
so.
like I could be like, oh, they think the wine does become blood. Let's do that. Well, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
BBD. Hey, finally both here.
Well, there you are. Finally, let's do the outro.
Yep, take it away, buddy.
Well, that's it from us. I'm Joel.
I'm Mezzo.
And I'm Joel. And just make sure you follow Bad Bible Debates wherever good podcasts are sold.
Yeah, or wherever you normally hijack them from.
And if you can, like it or leave a comment or anything on whatever platform you're using, please do that too.
That's right, buddy. And be sure to follow me on YouTube and TikTok. That's where we record all of these lives from. So if you want to catch the whole thing live, we got a lot of stuff going on over there.
We're always going live on TikTok and on YouTube. So yeah, definitely follow Mezzo there. And also, hey, look, follow me on TikTok, Joel Reads Bible, or subscribe on YouTube at Joel Reads Bible.
Oh, right. I guess I should say my handle is Mezzo_WS. That's pretty much the same on everything.
That's it from us for now. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Bad Bible Debates.
Dude, I think that went really well.
Actually, you know what? I think that was one of our best.
Oh, I wouldn't say best. I mean, it was okay.
No, I'm not joking.
I really liked your part.
You're so hard on yourself. You know, just listen closer to mine, and maybe you'll get it. You know, I think eventually you will get it. BBD.